President Biden has put a 24-month hold on all solar panel tariffs coming from certain Southeast Asia states under the a state of emergency for energy. There's been a decline in installations, about 24% over last year, this first quarter, due to supply chain issues. And drought in California this summer threatens to cut hydroelectric production in half. I'm Jay Warmke with Blue Rock Station, and this is the solar news for the week of June 6th. Well, there have been a number of supply chain issues in the solar industry that has caused a decline in installation and caused quite a rapid decline in availability of product. So in response, President Joe Biden just used a provision under the Defense Production Act, which has declared a 24-month state of emergency, basically, calling a halt to all solar panel tariffs coming from the countries of Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. Now, the Department of Commerce has begun an investigation saying that solar panels that were coming from China, which are subject to a tariff, were simply moved. The production was moved to those four countries in Southeast Asia to avoid the tariff. So as a result, they began this investigation. Well, in March of this year, 2022, most manufacturers stopped shipping panels to the United States because they were concerned. There was a lot of talk that there would be retroactive tariffs imposed up to 250% of the cost of the solar modules. Well, this has caused severe supply chain issues, decline in production. So as a result, President Biden has just recently announced that they will be putting a halt to these tariffs for 24 months while they do the investigation, and that there will be no retroactive imposing of any tariffs for product purchased during that time. In similar news, there was an announcement that there was a decline in the installation of solar in the United States by 24%, the first quarter of 2022 versus the first quarter of 2021. Most of the industry forecasts due to supply chain issues have been cut in half for 2022. Utility scale solar, large installations, is down 41% quarter to quarter from the first quarter of this year to the first quarter of last year. It is the fewest amount of new solar installation in the utility sector since 2017. Although the residential market is still robust, in fact, the first quarter of this year saw record installations in the residential marketplace for solar, increasing 30% of quarter one over the first quarter of 2021. The International Code Council has announced publication of a document they're calling the 2021 International Solar Energy Provisions document. It's in association with NFPA 70, which is the National Electrical Code. And what they're hoping to do is combine all of the international regulations that apply to solar in one document. They're claiming that this will be a cost-effective, comprehensive publication of all solar regulations. The cost of this document is $63.50, available in soft cover, 302 pages long. There has been a settlement in a shingled solar dispute. Canadian Solar has announced that they will not sell their solar shingled module product in the U.S. for a period of 7 years. This is as a result of a lawsuit from Solaria, who claimed that Canadian Solar had imposed upon their patent. And in fact, the U.S. Trade Commission did find in October of last year that Canadian Solar was indeed in violation of Solaria's patent. Now, solar shingling is not the same as a solar shingle. The module basically has cells that are lapped over each other just a little bit, and it's a process where you can get more consumption or more production out of a fixed footprint of a solar panel. The EIA is projecting that California this summer will experience severe drought conditions, which will result in production from hydropower being cut in half. Currently, about 15% of California's electricity comes from hydro. They're projecting that that will be cut down to about 8%. And as a result, they're anticipating that energy prices in California will increase by about 5%. And Ohio legislators are proposing a law. It's actually Senate Bill 307. Now, its stated purpose is to promote the creation of an electric vehicle industry within the state of Ohio. One of the provisions of this is that they will give up to a $2,000 sales tax rebate or refund for the purchase of an electric vehicle. They're also proposing grants to automobile manufacturers to incentivize them from changing over from the internal combustion engine to electric vehicles. The provision that's gotten a lot of feedback or pushback, however, has been that they're proposing paying or incentivizing utilities to create charging stations, and they will allow these utilities to bill their customers for the creation of these EV charging stations, whether the customer is using these charging stations or not. Basically, adding a fee to your electric bill to cover the cost of your local utility creating a fee-for-service electric vehicle charging station. Now, those people within that industry are saying, listen, this should be a competitive industry and utilities should not be subsidized for getting into it. Well, that's news from solar for this week. We'll see you next week.